So again, in the very beginning of this lecture, I said that not all rituals are religious, just like the baseball players. Their rituals that they do are not necessarily religious, but they are magic, and they are they do have something to do. They're in that same realm of study. So we've talked about rites of passage already, correct?
Mhm.
Good. So there's also some other rites that I just wanted to go through really quick. There's rites of intensification. Members of a society are brought into greater communion in which social bonds are intensified. Can we think of any rites of intensification that are common in the United States? I'll give you a hint. One of the easiest ones to think of, the word for that event is actually in the definition.
Communion.
Communion, exactly. So a group of people that come together every week for communion. They intensify their relationship with each other. They solidify their identity with a specific religion. Not only a specific religion, but a particular parish or group of people that are of their religion in their area, right? What other rites of intensification? I guarantee that you've all been to a rite of intensification. A birthday would count, yeah. A birthday is both a rite of passage, but it could also be a rite of intensification for a group of people, like a family, if it's a family birthday party or a friendship birthday party. What else? Fourth of July. Fourth of July is a rite of intensification. We as Americans all come together and go watch a big fireworks show, and it's intensification for the United States as a whole, like we are all members of the same group, and also your particular neighborhood that comes together, or your particular group of people that come together. They're both rites of intensification. What about a concert? Has anybody ever been to a concert?
Yes.
Okay, so you went there because you liked that group, right?
Mhm.
Right. And then when you're there, do you feel relaxed knowing that everybody else around you is all into the exact same music that you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rite of intensification. You are a member of the fan base for this band, and maybe it's not an obscure band. Maybe you were at a whatever concert that's really popular these days. I'm too old. I don't know what's popular these days. But maybe you're also at a little underground show for your best friend's band, and there's 5 people in the audience. That's still a rite of intensification for that group of people. So you've all been to rites of intensification,
Would
and
a block party consider that?
absolutely. And none of those things are terribly religious. Actually, most of them are not religious at all, but they're still rituals, and they're still part of a religious study for anthropologists. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So what about a ritual of inversion? A ritual or special event provides a frame that gives license for people to violate everyday norms and social codes. Rituals of inversion allow the people who take part in it to violate a specific social norm for a limited amount of time. So obviously, I'm talking about Halloween. What social norms are we violating that would be not cool? Wouldn't go over well other days. But what about going to a neighbor's house and demanding rewards unless you're going to play an evil trick on them and hurt them? You're essentially blackmailing every house that you go to. Trick or treat. Give me something I want, or I will do something bad to you. So any other day, if I knocked on your door in February and I said, "Hey, give me some of your dinner, or I'm gonna, put a bag of poo on your on your doorstep." I mean, that's not exactly what we do with Halloween, but I'm just trying to make a point of how ridiculous it would be. Even if you just knocked on somebody's door in August and demanded candy, would be totally out. So we don't do that, but it's understood that this one specific social norm is perfectly breakable and is actually encouraged to be broken on Halloween. And there's other ones that we do too. Typically, it's not customary for men to dress like women or women to dress like men. But on Halloween, that happens. It's not the main point of Halloween, but some people will do that, and it's not considered really terribly weird, right?
Mhm.
So there's all sorts of things. Like Halloween is a weird example because over time, what what social codes are allowed to be inverted on Halloween has expanded. But when it was first conceptualized, it was different. So what about Burning Man? We talked about Burning Man earlier in the class. What that I'm going to argue that that's a ritual of inversion. What social norms are inverted on at Burning Man? Good. But in our normal everyday lives in the United States, we all rely on money for basically all of our interactions with each other, or a lot of them are mediated by money. But at Burning Man, that's specifically not allowed. That's a very different sort of social code that is totally upended, totally inverted. So rituals of inversion play with cultural norms. They give a limited time and space where you can play with them and expand them and experience them, and it's a place where you can also sort of upend them sometimes symbolically for a short period of time. Just know there's lots of rituals of inversion, and so this is really helpful stuff too, for your final papers, because you might realize that maybe one of the things you're doing, one of your events that you've been to, is a rite of passage, a ritual of intensification, or a ritual of inversion. And you could go into that quite a bit of detail explaining why that is. Okay. So religion happens in our everyday life. This is a good place to go. Religion happens in our everyday life. Religion shape and are shaped by their cultural context. So religion pervades everything. It's in our food. You see people, praying before a meal. It's in our what we eat. There's halal and kosher foods. Our clothing has magical elements. We think that our clothing is, lucky shirts and things like this, and the way we name people, the body, art, politics. A lot of them have religious practices and magic in them, and so anthropologists sort of take issue with necessarily studying religion out of context. Religion is not something that you can just study alone. You have to know the culture, the entire culture in which it takes place. Does that make sense?